Hi, I'm Donna, an OpenSciEd teacher. In today's video, we will be going over B4 Lesson 4, or as I call it, the Junko case study lesson. In this lesson, students will explore and figure out the difference between learned and innate behavior, and that behavior can have an underlying genetic component. In the video, we will see how we got here, lesson at a glance, key moments, and material management tips and tricks. All right, how we got here. So during lesson 3, we figured out that rat poison is a selective pressure for physiological adaptations, that there were mutations in the rat population that was already there, and then rat poison acted on it. In this lesson, we are wondering what causes populations of juncos that live in the city to be bolder than mountain juncos. All right, the lesson at a glance. This is another investigation lesson. Love those. It'll take 3-day. Material preparation is 30 minutes. Part of that is going to be familiarizing yourself with CODAP. And then it is not a hands-on investigation, but it does require student devices. There are 2 videos, the intro to Juncos for students, and then the screencast for how to use CODAP that I've shown in my class as well. All right, there are 2 sense-making loops, and let's see those in more detail. All right, sense-making loop 1 will take place over day 1 and a bit of day 2. We're going to start by asking students to recall what they figured out about the last lesson and any questions that they have. And then we're going to spend some time exploring Mount Laguna and the UCSD campus environments. We'll discuss as a class whether boldness is learned or inherited, and then read and discuss methods and results of a common garden experiment. And then students will complete a quick exit ticket. And then the next day, they're going to develop their initial models for what's happening with the juncos. Through this, students are going to figure out that juncos in UCSD are more bold than the mountain juncos, and that boldness is inherited. Which leads us to wondering if the juncos are learning to be bold from their parents, or is there something genetic? In sense-making loop 2, which will take place over the last bit of day 2 and day 3, we're going to investigate the mechanism of boldness. So learning about stress hormones and have a quick discussion about that. We'll make sense of court and boldness, and then we'll update our progress trackers. The next day, we will explore the court and boldness relationship, have a building understanding discussion about boldness, court, and fitness in the UCSD Junco population. And then we'll go back and revise our initial models, and then we'll end with an electronic exit ticket. Students are going to figure out that the hormone court has a negative relationship with boldness, and there are still some unknown mechanisms with this. Which leads us to wondering what else in our model do we need to figure out to explain how populations are changing in urban environments. All right, so what we're figuring out through the entire lesson, that Junco boldness is an inherited behavioral trait from their parents, that it's inherited, there's genetic component there, and it has a negative relationship to court levels. So boldness has a negative relationship to court levels. And that boldness is a competitive advantage for obtaining food and nesting spaces in an urban environment, and that the juncos that are bolder have a greater chance to survive and then reproduce. Let's see those key moments. So starting with part 3, so after exploring the UCSD and the Laguna campuses, looking at how the environments are different, we're going to discuss whether boldness is learned. And we're going to see some initial data that shows that the juncos in UCSD are bolder. That means that and I usually have to explain this to my students, like, what are we measuring with boldness? And it's how close a human is able to get to the birds before they fly away. And with the juncos on UCSD, humans are able to get closer to them. And then we discuss, could they have inherited boldness or learned it? from their parents? Was there something in the environment, maybe loud noises, that led to this change in boldness? And this is an important piece of the puzzle, which will really help lay some foundational knowledge for success in the next lesson. Next, part 4, we're going to read and discuss the methods and results of the Common Garden experiment. And through this, students are going to figure out that if boldness was learned, then all the birds raised in the same conditions would have the same level of boldness. But they don't see that. Even though all the birds were taken away from their nest early on, there was still a difference in boldness between the two populations, UCSD and Mount Laguna. And that the juncos from UCSD were still more bold. And this brings up some great questions. Why would bold juncos survive and reproduce better? What is advantageous about this? And how can a behavior be inherited? And then part 8, we're going to investigate the mechanism. So really diving into those answers. We're going to learn that birds produce cort when they are stressed. I compare this to the hormone cortisol in humans, and usually we'll have a discussion about, what do humans do when we're stressed? How does that compare to birds? And students are going to figure out by looking at some field study data and Common Garden experiment data that Mount Laguna juncos always had a higher cort level than UCSD, and that this is a negative relationship, that when cort levels go up, boldness goes down. Part 9, we're going to make sense of cort and boldness. And this is where we connect to our own experiences of stress. How does stress affect us? How can it help us understand junco boldness? Does it make them scared? Do they try new things, explore new areas? Do they stay put? And then in this discussion, the students are going to figure out that boldness is a competitive advantage in the urban environment. And as a class, we're going to co-construct a definition for fitness. Part 12, we're going to explore the cort and boldness relationship a little bit more. And this is where they'll be introduced to the best fit line and how that helps identify the type and strength of a relationship. They'll be looking at correlation coefficients and how that correlation coefficient quantifies the strength of a relationship. And we'll see by looking at the data that a lot of the data that we have shows a medium strength and a negative relationship. Then we'll add correlation coefficient to our personal glossary. And again, we're thinking about that question. The students are bringing up, how is boldness inherited? What are the genes? Part 13, we'll have our building understanding discussion. Potential selection pressures, so humans getting close to birds, human-made structures, cars, noise in that urban environment, that boldness is inherited, that the UCSD birds produce less cort and are more bold. So there's that negative relationship again, and that there's still unknown components about what is happening at the genetic level that is changing between the birds. We know cort level is changing, which means something must be happening genetically too. So where do we go from here? We figure out that boldness in juncos is an inherited trait that has a competitive advantage in cities, and we wonder how species are changing over time. All right, material management tips and tricks. All right, so starting with CODAP. There are different ways to graph the data. The handout allows students to pick and choose which data set they're putting on the X versus the Y axes, the independent versus the dependent variables. I have found that when my students put cort levels on the X axis and then exploratory behavior score on the Y axis, they usually are able to see the relationship and the strength of that relationship a lot more clearly. Now, the strength of the relationship, that R value isn't going to change, but the slope of the line does change, like how steep it is does change between the graphs. And this is just the way that my students have had an easier way interpreting the data. And then we've got a link here to a screencast for using CODAP, which is very helpful as a teacher, and I will even play it for my students as well. All right, another tip and trick for you is learned versus inherited. So we have a lot of discussions about learned versus inherited and making correlations of what other behaviors could possibly be learned, or what other behaviors could possibly be inherited, and what could a genetic component be for different behaviors in non-human species. I love to encourage this exploration, especially because it really sets up a lot of success for students in the next lesson. And then my students find connections to human stress and boldness really powerful. Personal glossary management, we're going to co-construct behavioral adaptation and fitness, and we're going to encounter the word trait. And then again, we are carrying forward that class consensus model. So thank you so much. We've reached the end of the video. What I want to leave you with is one of the key takeaways that my students figure out, that a behavior or a trait's usefulness can change depending on the environment, and that the environment only acts on differences already found in a population. Thank you so much for getting to the end of the video, and you got this.